The gun control debate has been central to U.S. politics since the beginning of history, with the right to bearing arms being one of the foundations of a young nation hoping to avoid autocracy. With guns becoming more and more advanced, however, coupled with lax gun control laws, mass shootings have become a sad normality for the U.S. While many believe that guns are necessary for protecting themselves, owning guns should be illegal for private citizens in the United States. As guns have changed since the 18th century, and comparing the U.S. to other nations can provide evidence of such failure behind domestic gun laws. Guns have changed since the 18th century, and the right to bear arms, which was established by the Founding Fathers, holds a significantly different meaning to what it is defined as now. People were allowed to own guns back then, but those could only be shot every 15 seconds after a meticulous reload, according to source E. However, nowadays, guns can be shot every 0.1 seconds. So guns are significantly more advanced, and they're just different machines than they were before. Those guns were not able to carry out mass shootings before, as opposed to the guns available to the public right now. And the right to bear arms was strictly meant to protect, but in today's society, guns are able to do much more than they were intended for, which is why they need to be banned from private citizens in the United States. As the visual states, arms have changed, but the Second Amendment has not. Additionally, we can compare the U.S. to other successful socioeconomic countries like South Korea, Germany, and the UK, for example, looking on the left, to contrast the drastic difference in the rates of violent gun deaths. And this was from source A. It isn't a coincidence that these countries either don't allow their private citizens to own guns or present monumentally harder methods of obtaining one. It is important to note how much greater the violence in the United States is and how it needs to be changed. And by banning guns, we can present the opportunity for less gun deaths. Looking at the picture on the right, we can see the violence-ridden nations in the Middle East that are undergoing a lot of turmoil, and how the U.S. has significantly higher amounts of violent gun deaths than virtually every country except Iraq. It's ironic that these nations, which are looked at as very violent and like countries in turmoil, they have less gun deaths than the U.S. And this can be attributed to the fact that most of them don't let their private citizens own guns. On the other hand, many pro-gun supporters argue that guns are essential for self-defense and that at the very least, handguns should be allowed. In a U.S. news article from source C, John Lott argues that gun restrictions leave people vulnerable and helpless, and he supports the idea that with more gun availability in public, mass shootings could be more easily stopped and deterred. While this makes sense theoretically, there's evidence to refute it. In an article from CNN by John Donahue, which is from source B, he presents critical evidence that shows that guns don't end up really protecting the citizens. For example, over the period from 2007 to 2011, when roughly 6 million violent crimes occurred each year, the victim did not defend with a gun in 99.2% of the incidents. So, if guns aren't being used for self-defense, then what good are they for Americans? What is the reason that a private citizen should own a gun? There is none, because they just end up being more detrimental than helpful to society, which is why we need to ban guns. They just provide possibility of chaos and danger. Thank you for listening.